back to another episode of Doctor in a Bikini, and happy Monday. If you are starting your week with Doctor in a Bikini, thank you so much. It is Sunday in true fashion. I have the best intentions of recording videos and getting my YouTube up to date, I swear. But in case you haven't been listening to previous episodes and all of the fun chaos, we are in the middle of moving to our very first home. So I am so excited, except we literally do not have a table or a chair to sit on. So I am coming at you from my hobbit hole in our bedroom, back from episode 1. Here we are. Started from the bottom, and now we're here. Now we're here. Oh my gosh. Anyways, so yeah, life has been crazy in the best of ways. I swear. My coach was just saying yesterday, she goes, I feel like you are just a busy person. Like, I think sometimes people can worry that you have a lot on your plate, but I think that's just literally you. And I said, it is. Yeah, I think if something is too much for me, I shed it. But yeah, you're right. I feel like there are people in our lives who worry about us and think that we're carrying too much or we're doing too much. And it's so funny because they, at least in my experience, they usually don't vocalize it to me. They usually vocalize it to people who also have a love and care for the mutual person, and they mean well, so it doesn't bother me. But yeah, I feel like I get that a lot, or it gets to me a lot, is that people are worried or, thinking I'm taking on a lot, or they know I'm busy. And I don't know. I feel this isn't part of the episode. I'm just kind of going on a tangent, but I feel like I hope if I ever come across like I'm busy, that you know that I'm not too busy. So I'm never too busy for answering a question or, helping a friend, helping someone who reaches out to me and wants some advice, or, just showing up when needed. I mean, I love showing up for my people, and I love getting things done. I love feeling productive. And, I guess it does kind of relate to the episode, because I think feeling productive makes me feel needed. It makes me feel good. And ultimately, it helps me with my high vibe energy. And I think that busyness for me, it's in a sense fulfilling. Like, I don't know about you, but if I am home and I'm doom scrolling, or if I'm on my phone, or if I have more free time than what's necessary to recharge, I almost get antsy. And then I like to call it doom scrolling, because I feel like when you feel productive or like you don't have stuff to do, you feel like you're not accomplishing or achieving. I don't know if that makes sense, but it's almost like, how cleaning can be relaxing and cathartic, or maybe if you're like, no, I hate cleaning, Shannon, I can't relate to that at all. Maybe you are someone that is very involved in your friend group or your families, and that makes you feel fulfilled, just being busy and being needed and going from place to place, helping with the party or helping with the shopping or helping someone move. Or maybe if you're a competitor listening to the podcast, you can relate how, yes, there are days that it feels like you're driving a crazy train, but also you wouldn't trade any of what you're doing because you love what you're doing. It makes you feel a sense of purpose. It makes you feel accomplished, and it contributes to your high vibe energy. So I was thinking today on my drive about high vibe energy and how I feel competing, of course, yes, is a big part of this, but the things we do and what we choose to focus on can really set us on the right path for the week. And I don't think it ever gets easier, but I think we learn more about ourselves and what fills our cup, who fills our cup. And yeah, I wanted to hop on here and talk about the ways that I either stay or get back to that high vibe energy when times are crazy. So for instance, keeping it relatable for my friends that are still in their prep season, I'll talk about some of my lessons with prep and with show day. Oh my gosh, I'll start with show day. So my friend, she was saying the other day that she's competed with me a couple times, and she said, I feel a sense of calmness next to you backstage. And she's like, and I don't know how you do it. You just feel so poised backstage, and you feel very chill and calm, and like you're going to take a nap. And she's like, I feel the exact opposite. I feel crazy. I feel like I'm messy. I feel like I'm overwhelmed. And I was like, man, I feel like there's different things that work for all of us that make us feel relaxed or make us feel centered or positive, fulfilled, excited, whatever words make sense to you. And I was thinking, how do I do that subconsciously? Because I know that for me, there's lessons I had to learn to get to that place, right? Like I had to be panicky or I had to be stressed in order to learn to get to a place of calm. You don't just show up and you're like, yeah, this has never stressed me out at all. I've never run behind. I've never had anything go wrong. No. we have all had something go wrong. We've all had a bad day. We've all felt hot mess express, and it's learning to laugh about it. So for me, I think one of the visuals, if you're someone that maybe you're on the treadmill, you're not driving, but if you like to visualize things, I'm going to give you an example that my dad actually drew for Connor and I, and it applies to all areas of our life, but we'll just keep it for now, show day and prep examples. So if you were to look up zones of control or area of control, I'm sure there's a few different words, but if you Google image, there's all sorts of different versions people have made, and I apologize if there's one gold standard version or someone who I'm supposed to reference, but in general, you'll get the picture here. So the one that I like, it has 3 little bubbles, and it shows one big circle, and that outer circle is our area of concern. So no control, right? So let's say things we can't control on show day. We can't control who shows up that day. We can't control if the makeup artist is running behind, and we can't control the schedule. If the tan turns our skin green or the tan sloughs off of us and looks a little weird. All of these things have happened to me, by the way. We can't control how our food is really going to react with our bodies, if it's our first time trying something new, if it's our first time competing ever. We can't control if the show is running behind, or maybe, we got sick or something right before the show, so we're not feeling our best. I mean, the list can go on. I don't want to give you bouts of anxiety, but these are all very real things that we cannot control. But to be honest, something is bound to happen at some point, right? There's bound to be something that doesn't go perfectly to plan, but it doesn't mean that it's going to take away from the magic that show day could be, the memories you make, the lessons you learn, the people you meet. It's still going to be an amazing, laughable experience. Or, oh my gosh, speaking of, not to sidebar, but I'm going to sidebar because that's just my personality. Something yesterday, Connor and I, we were furniture shopping. So as far as I'm talking about control and things that we can do, right? We're furniture shopping and getting all the last minute things that you don't think about until you're a homeowner. Like, oh, it's wired for fans, but there are no fans. Got it. So we got to buy fans. Or, oh shoot, what about the little things that our towels hang on, our towel racks, or paper, our toilet paper? We have to get all those little things. That's so funny. And so all these things that we were realizing, we started at 10 a.m. We ended up being out until 6 p.m. And we're just Tetrising all these things into the vehicle. And then, of course, there was this, limited time deal on this mattress. It was for sure the best feel and the best price and everything. And out of our control, Google said that the store was open until whichever time. Well, this deal was literally for yesterday, right? And we're all the way on another side of town. We realized that apparently they updated their hours, but Google hadn't, and we had already made the purchase. And they're like, oh, well, we actually close in 2 minutes, so if you could pull the car around. We're like, oh, shoot, okay, sure. We gotta lock this in today, no pickup later. And so all of a sudden the person rolls out this giant, I swear, 100-pound or more mattress, and he literally drops it off. He's like, okay, well, it should work if you maybe put the seat down your car. Bye. Gets into his friend's vehicle and leaves. We're like, oh, okay. So we're hysterically laughing because we had to unload everything out of our car to Tetris, this giant mattress in there. And it was a photo finish. You could not see out of any crevice of our windows, our back window. I mean, we were like laughing so hard. We were like trying not to pee our pants because everything was so heavy. Nothing was working, but we just did our best, We couldn't really wait for help because here we are like on the side of the sidewalk and there's nowhere for us to go. So we're like, we have to make this happen. Either way, we're going to make it happen. We don't know how. I might be hugging a fan between my legs on the way home, but so I mean, there were variables even in that situation that, maybe things we could have controlled. Maybe we could have done better research on the size of the mattress we were going to do, the time of the store, double, triple checked that was the right time. Things went sideways, but you know what? In the end, it all worked out. It didn't work out maybe the way we envisioned, but it was hysterical and it's a memory and it's so funny. So, my point being, same thing with show day. There's going to be things that go wrong. There's going to be things that go wrong in prep, our everyday life, but when you look back, we have to find the things that are funny and it makes for a better story. It's less boring than everything just went perfect. Like, if I just told you, yeah, we got our mattress this weekend, you maybe politely would have been like, oh, that's fun. But if I tell you the whole Tetris story, then it really makes for a true core memory, right? Or I'll give you another example while I'm already on a tangent of fun, real life, relatable stories. So earlier this week, as you know, I'm reversing out of a show, right? That's something that I chose. That's something that I'm controlling, is I'm choosing to be done with competing this year. Given the fact that, as you may know, reversing can be a sensitive time. And what I mean by that is we tend to be overly critical. Hence why I'm doing this high vibe episode, because I think whether we're in prep, whether we're in peak week, it's show day, maybe we're reversing out of a show, maybe we've been reversed for a while. Either way, point being, no matter what season you're in, it always takes effort for us to stay in that high vibe spot, right? So this week, things that I maybe can't control. Still have to go to work for X amount of hours. I can't control how many people show up and how much documentation I have. I can do my best, but if you're like me and you work in patient care, things do not go to plan at the job. They just do not. You're working with people. It's very variable. Everyone's moods are so different. People aren't feeling their greatest. So there are often people throughout your day that are taking things out on you. Or I had a very interesting situation that I can't really talk about on here right now. That was very stressful emotionally for me this week. All while we are packing, our life is literally in an upheaval in our apartment. If you like to clean and you're moving and you live in a small space, and you can understand, cleaning is just not a thing. You have to relinquish that control. You have to realize, you know what? This is our beautiful environment right now, and it's okay. And I'm going to choose to be okay with the fact that laundry, dishes, boxes, bags, I feel like I'm in a Dr. Seuss novel. It's everywhere, okay? So you have to make the conscious choice to not let that impact you and appreciate that this is just one of those really cool parts of the overall journey, that this means something greater is coming, more space is coming. With all that, like I said, I am reversing. So you're also trying to be flexible in the fact that, hey, with everything going on, diet might not go 100% according to plan. I can do my best. But between getting diet things done, gym things done, sorry, I had something in my throat, getting everything done is not something that I can necessarily control 100,000%, while also prioritizing the people I want and the things that, quote, need to get done. So this week, that has been teaching me a lot, because despite everything I just said and maybe the tone of how I shared it, maybe I just said that and someone, again, back to the beginning of the episode, like, oh my gosh, you're so busy. You must be so stressed. And surprisingly, no, I actually feel so good. And I want to talk about why I feel so good and the little moments that I just have been able to laugh because I think examples help people. So the other part that I was going to share, for instance, there was a particular morning after this incident with this thing at work. I was already feeling a little bit messy or impacted, and with everything, I'm trying to think how to explain it. It's so weird. I will come back and explain it all, but right now I have to be private about some things, even though I have a podcast, and that's a really weird thing to navigate. So, what was I saying? Oh my gosh. I'm not even going to edit this out. My brain. Oh, so getting everything done, I've been staying up later, so I haven't been super as diligent about getting to bed early. But I was like, I want to wake up early. I want to get some steps in. I want to start my day feeling intentional with goal setting and getting something done off my list because I know that it makes me feel good. So I went to our apartment gym, which is on the other side, and I drove there because I woke up late with how tired I've been. I snoozed my alarm a bunch, and I could have been all cranky about it, but I was like, nope, like I can still get something done even if I can't get a whole lift in. So I will go get my steps in. I'll come back. I'll still have enough time to go ahead and prep the rest of my food. I had gotten some of it done the night before, but not all of it. So I was like, I'm going to get as much done as I can. And that right there is a mentality that I think helps a lot. Instead of fixating on what things you didn't get done, focusing on the things that you still can do and be proud of yourself for. So what did I do? Go get my steps in, come back. Well, funny little detail there. I drove myself to the apartment gym since it's on the other side and because I was short on time. Then when I was on autopilot, I went home and I was pushing it because I also wanted some quality time with my husband and I wanted to make sure that I got my food all wrapped up and done. It's like, perfect, great, I'm killing it. I go outside the door and I'm like, where's my car? I looked around, I was like, uh-oh. Connor comes up behind me, he goes, I know where your car is. And I was like, oh my gosh, what? And I was a couple of minutes late, so he drove me over to the car. And he's just laughing. He's like, have a great day at school, honey. Don't, be careful getting onto the bus. And I was like, oh my gosh. And the locks were on. I was like, you need to turn the child lock off. And he goes, well, if I didn't have a child in my car, then I wouldn't need the child lock. So that morning is a great example of I could have been upset about waking late, not getting my lift in. I could have been stressed about leaving later than I wanted to for work because ideally I like to get to work by a certain time to prep my notes, look at what patients I'm seeing, start my notes, because something that I can't control, I actually cannot take my notes home because of where I work. I'm a travel contract therapist, so I don't get the privilege to take my notes home, which in turn is a great thing because that means that I never have to take work home with me, right? Again, see what I did there? I could have been stressed about, oh man, that means I have to get everything done. That means some nights I have to stay X amount of time over, or I quote, have to sacrifice my lunch, or I can say, that's great that I get the opportunity to be present with my family when I get home. I'm not even tempted to bring work home, so that means it's just never an option. And that day, instead of being Hot Mess Express, being upset about being late, I was laughing. It's like, oh my gosh, what a funny morning. And some of you, if you follow me on Instagram, that was the same morning that I forgot to put one eyebrow on. So I just laughed. I just thought it was so funny. So I know this is a really long, relatable tangent story, but I'm trying to show you in what small ways where in my life, things, quote, go not to plan all of the time. But it's how we choose to laugh. It's how we choose to focus on the things did go. And I just used it as a funny story for patients that day. People came in, they were a little cranky that morning. I had 3 people that morning sob onto me because they felt like their lives, were a mess, or they just, they were running late. So I was like, hey, it's okay. Something must be in the air. I said, you know what? Funny story might make you feel better. So I just used it as an icebreaker for some of those people. And for me, it helped to make the day lighter because I was making light of some of the fun Hot Mess Express moments in my life and then getting to share that joy with other people. So I know I said I related to competing too, but I think you get what I'm saying as far as things that we can't control in our jobs, in our lives, how perfect we are with prep, how perfect we are with reversing. And that's what I was saying, ADD brain over here. My reverse right now has not been perfect at all. Oh my gosh. If you ever think that things go 100% according to plan when you're on my social media, send me a message and just ask me, like, hey, what's something this week that is funny? Or what's something that, how did you handle a situation that maybe didn't go as planned this week? And I'm sure I will have something to share because that's just how it is. And that's the beauty of life, right? So, really quick, I'll just wrap up that reverse part just to put in perspective. I was thinking this week, it's interesting because I've probably lifted maybe 1 or 2 times per week since my show, which means I've maybe gone to the gym and gotten a true lift in the last 3 weeks 6 times. And if you're a competitor, you know when you're going from lifting 4 or 5 times per week, and then now you've drastically decreased it in your cardio, sure, maybe you're getting some, but you're not doing 2-a-days anymore. It can be mentally challenging to not fixate on, oh my gosh, 3 weeks, that's almost a month, and how many lifts I didn't get in. Oh my gosh, I have to optimize my gains after a show, and I gotta put food to use, and it's a lot. But I am so impressed and so happy with how happy I've been despite the things that didn't get done. So here we are. I'm sharing it, one, so you know that someone that you see that is alive and well. I physically feel and look great, I think, and I just want to share that that's okay, because especially when you're scrolling on social media, it's so easy to see someone else you know and look up to hitting those marks, and they're sharing it and they're telling you, here's the things that I have not slacked on food. I'm in the gym the next day. I haven't slipped. Oh, and then here's how much weight only I've gained, or here's how much weight I've lost after the show. And when you're watching these things, I think you have to be really mindful and diligent of processing it and then putting it to the side. Putting it to the side in a box that has nothing to do with you. It is out of your zone of control. It is completely just an area of influence that you are choosing not to influence you. I hope that makes sense. So try your hardest to remember this episode when you see those people that are, quote, perfect, doing it perfectly to plan. And just remember that we all have an area in our life that we cannot control, including those people that are hitting all of their marks. You don't know their life, right? You only know what they're choosing to show you. So we've talked about the area of concern, the outer part of the circle of the 3 little circles. So it's one circle, a circle within that circle, and then a circle within that circle. So we're on the middle circle now, right? Not the most central one. We're moving from concern, our area of concern of no control, to now our area of influence where we have some control. And this is a fun one for me because I'm reading these examples on Google, and it is hard to not live in this zone. And I think because it is so close neighboring to the area that we can control, that sometimes I think the lines can feel a little blurred, and you have to remind yourself of, oh, does that really affect me? Or is this really something I can't control? Or is this something that I just need to focus on the fact that I'm doing my best and some of what I'm controlling is positively impacting this? So I'm just going to read off what good old Google Images says. So area of some control: my business success, my reputation, my free time, what I teach, and my routines. Ooh, I feel like this is so applicable. So let me go ahead and go through each one, because honestly, I think every single one of these, I probably have thoughts about every single week. So my business success, that's a good one. Man, if you are anything like me, I feel like I can be constantly hard on myself, especially when it's something like, let's say, my business success. So Doctor in a Bikini, there are always things that, because I love it and because I know that there are some things I have control over, it can be really hard to not fixate on the things that are not yet happening, or I have not yet developed, or I don't have a timeline on yet. And even just today, I've been thinking about, okay, should I get a business coach? Here's the things that I've been thinking about releasing. Here's some things that I have not yet released. Oh, shoot, I'm going to be recording in my bedroom today. Man, I've had 3 people today ask me this week about why aren't I on YouTube? And so I think it can be really, really, really easy to list all those things I just said, which are kind of negative, right? Those all sound like the underlying question is, Shannon, why haven't you done this yet? Why haven't you figured it out yet? When are you going to? Or I could choose to say, okay, let me start by answering some of my questions. Let me go ahead and do some research on business mentors and see if I do think it's a fit. Let me write down the things I think I need help with and start there. Let me go ahead and set a timeline for myself for one goal. Set a time, set daily goals, set weekly goals, set monthly deadlines. Try that. Maybe that'll help me feel a little bit less combobulated. Discombobulated? Is that a word? I don't know. And I think, okay, you know what? I can address the things that I would like to do on the podcast and talk about the situation because that's relatable. And that's kind of funny to picture me literally in my little hobbit hole on the ground by our mattress recording. But you know what I chose to do? I still chose to record an episode today. I didn't miss it. And you know what? On the times that I have missed it, it's okay. I'm human. Address that. Say, hey, so sorry. Here's what's going on. I will update you all next week. No one's going to judge you for being a human being, Shannon. Another one, reputation. Like I said, judgment, right? It can be so easy to think, oh, does this teammate like me? Or what does this coach think of me? Or I don't know. I think even like coach acceptance, right? Wanting your coach to be proud of you, wanting your friends and family to be proud of you. And you can't control, which stinks, and I get that. You can't control what others think and feel about you. And to be honest, in my opinion, I think we tend to assume the worst. I think we tend to discredit how highly others probably think about us and probably talk about with us, right? Notice earlier when I mentioned the people that express to mutual friends or people that care for me that they are worried about how busy I am. That's something I can't control. I can easily get frustrated or annoyed and say, oh my gosh, why? Sorry. See, okay, funny moment here. I'm not even going to edit it out. You hear those sirens back there? I am no longer going to be within range of sirens impacting the audio of the podcast, and that is so funny, and I love that so much. I'm just gonna keep that in there. I'm grinning ear to ear because I'm like, that's not gonna be a thing anymore. What was I saying? So I could choose to be annoyed, right? I could say, oh my gosh, why is it that people are worrying about me? Why is it that people think that I am not capable? Which is that's not where they're coming from, right? Instead, you can say, I understand that these people are expressing their worry or concern because they love me, because they want to see me enjoy life. They want to see the things that I want to come true. It comes from a place of care. And I think understanding the people in our life and trying to reframe what we're processing and try and think with their shoes and their personality where it's likely coming from. So that's something we can't control, right? How other people feel, what other people do, how other people view us or talk about us. We can get anxious about it all day long or frustrated, but the best thing we can do, the part that we can control is, and I know it's cheesy, how we respond and how we sit with it. My free time and my routines. I feel like I'm gonna wrap that one together because my story earlier, I said to you, we're moving, I'm reversing, I have the best intentions to go grocery shopping, clean our home, cook the food, make it to the gym, do both a lift and cardio, but also see friends and family that I want to see that they've, maybe I haven't made plans with them, or the plans that they would like while I was in prep. There's a lot of things that we want to do and things that we need to do. And I think, as you all know, sometimes it just doesn't feel like there's enough hours in the day. And sure, again, there's people on Instagram that are super, super great about waking up early. And they're like, I made it to the gym at 4 a.m., which, praise be, you are an amazing human. Me? That is something I'm constantly working on, and I go through seasons. There's some seasons where I'm great at waking up early. Others where I have a lot going on in life, and my body just needs to sleep. So I say that because, unfortunately, there are some things that I'm very together with consistently, like showing up consistently. It's not a completely, I'm gesturing, so this would be great on a video, right? It's not completely linear. It is very much like a roller coaster, but I'm still going towards a destination, whatever that destination is. Even if one day my effort is literally, hey, I ate the turkey and rice and oatmeal and eggs today like I did before because I still enjoy it. And, I got pretty darn close with all my steps. Great. Oh, and I got a great night's sleep last night, and I was great with my water. Awesome. So my point with that, as far as your routines and your overall free time, there's things that we can choose to control within that. But there's just some things that you can't. There's some obligations that you have. Like, honestly, even this podcast episode, I might have to stop it halfway through because I made plans for friends and I made plans for family because didn't mention at the top of the episode, but I also have a family member that isn't doing too great right now. So trying to plug and play like my furniture yesterday, sometimes it really do be like that. It's not perfect, I feel like I'm going on a tangent, but I just feel like it's very relatable. So I hope you appreciate me sharing that because I am here just to be loud and proud about the crazy train and hopefully teach you to navigate your crazy train in a happier manner. Because despite the fact that we have all the crazy, we deserve to feel happy about what we're doing. It's no fun prepping if you're hating it the whole time. It's no fun showing up to work. And that's a big one too. I know we talked about my business success in this area of control. We can't control the fact that we have to work. And trust me, there's some days that internally I have a tantrum about it. I'm like, I don't want to do this. I don't want to deal with personalities today. Ooh, fun prompt there. On the radio, there was someone that said, if you were to win a gold medal in something that wasn't a sport in the Olympics, what would it be? 100% I said patient care. Accommodating to literally all walks of personalities and making sure everyone leaves the room, not only happy, but feeling better. Oh my gosh. But then also getting your notes done and also having some time to get your steps in during the day. And, that's just the crazy, crazy train we choose. But point being, work. We can't control that we have to go to work, right? But how miserable is it if we just are miserable the entire time? So we have to find little nuggets of how can I control getting into a high vibe space. Did I make someone's life better today? Did I have a fun conversation? Did I connect with somebody today? Did I laugh about something with a coworker? Did I ask some fun questions of my peers? Or, like the Olympic medal question that I heard on the radio. I asked people all day because I was like, oh, what would yours be? So anything that you can find to try and bring those little mini moments of high vibe energy into your day, do it. And if you're someone that you have a hard time reflecting at the end of the day or reflecting at the beginning of the day, because I know some people, they have a hard time, making time to meditate before work or making time to journal. Sometimes I'll bring headphones in to work and I will journal on my lunch break, especially if I'm feeling cranky and very low vibe that day. I will journal things that maybe I feel inspired about, or maybe things, that make me happy, or I'm part of this group that they send, self-love prompts or shadow work prompts, and sometimes I'll make time for that, or I'll go outside and walk with a podcast that makes me happy, like Doctor in a Bikini. Not my own, but you know what I mean? Like just giving advice. If there's a place that you want to, you want to share it with one of your coworkers on how to get on a high vibe, like listen to Doctor in Bikini's recent episode. I think that's a great idea. Yeah, so whatever makes you happy, finding those little moments throughout your day, or you know what, quit the job. That's something you can control. Quit your job. Like if there's something that you're like, I cannot find even a morsel, like my safety is threatened here, or people are straight up mean to me, I'm not appreciated, it causes me physical pain, maybe change your job. That's something that is within your area of control, right? But you get what I'm saying. And I'm actually going to take this opportunity. It's not going to be an ad, but you might notice a transition of how the audio sounds because, like I mentioned earlier, plugging and playing with my day here, I'm going to go ahead and hit pause before I move to the area of what we can control. You won't notice a difference, but I will. So I'll be right back. And we're back from the shortest ad break of all time. I saw in that short amount of time, it ends with us with some friends. We got some food together, went to Home Goods, planned my 30th birthday, and I saw my grandpa. So that was a very productive ad break. So back to the things that we can control. So I'm going to go ahead and read just a few examples and then how that applies to us and how we can maintain that high vibe energy. So a few things examples wise is work ethic, what you eat, who your friends are, what you buy, and the words that you choose to use. So I think there's a lot to unpack there, particularly, obviously, what you eat. Sure, there's things that we can control, especially when things get crazy. Like we can't control if we have, travels that we have to do. Maybe work requires you to travel, or maybe your family plans, you need to be on the go. But we can prepare for that ahead of time, at least as best as we can. I think we can all agree, I know I'm raising my hand, there have been times that I have tried my best to plan to a T, and even then sometimes it's not perfect, but what's important is the things that you did put effort to control and choosing to focus on the things that you did do and giving yourself a pat on the back for what you were mindful of, where you gave yourself grace, because honestly, over time, it really is just those small moments that matter, that add up consistently. Because looking back, this was definitely my most successful year, not just competing wise, but mindset, self-acceptance, self-love, goal setting, achieving goals. And when I look back, I think really what set myself apart from my very first year was very much an all or nothing mentality. I mean, it was so extreme because it was such a giant life shift going from I've never prepped before to, oh my gosh, I've never done this before, 0 to 100, I have to commit to this fully. And I think we can all agree, especially when you're trying to do something long term, such as competing, we really can't afford to live life in that extreme mindset all the time, that heightened SNS, sympathetic fight or flight state. It's not healthy, it's not sustainable, and if you're like me and you're trying to keep this around for a while, if competing or whatever sport you're a part of is fulfilling for you and makes you happy, in my opinion, the only way that we can maintain that is if we find these little moments of focusing on what we can optimize. So, yes, what you eat, but I even am going to give an asterisk there because I think sometimes you just do the best you can, I think bringing it back to the part where it says who your friends are also. You've heard me say it here a million times. I naturally have the people pleaser gene, if you will. I don't feel like I identify with that so much anymore, but I know it's something I do have to actively put effort towards sometimes. Even if it's not a top of mind feeling or thought, wanting to be liked, wanting to be friends with everybody, wanting everyone to love Doctor in a Bikini, wanting to be everyone's friend. It doesn't always work out that way. And I think we are happier people when we realize that there's a lot that we can't control, but we can choose the people that fill our cup and that we can trust. And I think something valuable to remember is if there's a relationship that makes you anxious, or if you are worried about the state of a certain relationship, then that means it's probably not a sturdy relationship to begin with. And I'm not saying, go out there and cut all the ties and, unless you're there, I think that's something valuable too, is once something no longer serves you, and if it's more so, if it's making you anxious, if it's making you feel like you have to compensate for something, if you are tired around this person, if you are drained, if someone is not supportive of you, if they're always making comments about you or your body or what you're not doing, absolutely, you can control that low vibe energy. You can remove that right now. And I'm a fan of that, personally. I don't know if I mentioned earlier, it's about to be my 30th. I don't know if it's about me crossing that 30-yard finish line there, but for me, okay, this sounds so bad, but hear me out. I was just saying to Connor the other week, I don't know what it is about this point that I've reached with myself. And again, I say it a lot, but I really attribute a lot of this thinking to competing. And I know that most of you listening probably get that. Not everybody does, but this sport, I think we have to create the effort to find that high vibe energy and to maintain it. We are, for lack of better words, forced to accept ourselves better, give ourselves credit, learn to find the W's on the days where we feel like it's a huge L, and I think with that taking up a majority of my time over the last 4 years now, it's like I've reached this level of comfort where I'm not as scared to cut ties with the things that don't serve me. That's what I can control. I don't have to keep this person around because I've known them for a decade. I don't have to go out of my way to spend this amount of time that I really don't have, or I would like to dedicate it elsewhere, just to make this person happy, or because I owe them, or even honestly, patience. This is the part that I was saying it sounds bad. Don't get me wrong. I care about my patients. I really, really do. But I myself have even gotten to the point where, I'm sorry, if someone is treating me like dog shit, I feel like I have to give context. There was one individual, okay, that they just kept saying very presumptuous things about me and just very matter-of-fact comments. So I'll give you a little entertainment story here. So this gentleman, he comes in and he's just ready to choose violence that day. He's not in pain. He's just ready to choose violence, okay? He comes in and he's like, hey, what are you doing this weekend? And that was before I was competing this last show. So I said, oh, I've got a show going out of town for my husband and I. He says, oh, it's so that's got to be your husband's idea, of course. I said, what's that? He goes, oh, going out of town for a show. You mean like a bodybuilding show? And I said, yeah, bodybuilding show. He goes, oh, so your husband? I said, no, it's actually my show. And he goes, really? You don't really look like you do much of anything. And I said, yeah, I know I don't really look like Mrs. Schwarzenegger, but yeah, there's, different divisions. And I just go to leave it at that. And he just keeps going, saying that I don't look strong. I don't look like I really do much of anything. That was his favorite line to use repetitively. He's like, no offense. And I'm like, gee, thanks. Like, just because he said no offense. He just kept going on and on. And, where was it going with that? He then somehow pivots to, where's the show at? And I said, oh, California. And he goes, I didn't take you the type to want to go to California. And I'm like, what does that even mean? So I said, oh, yeah, there's shows everywhere. I said, yep, so that's where we're going. And he goes, oh, you probably drive a Corvette, don't you? And I said, do you drive a Corvette? And he's like, well, no, but you probably drive a Corvette. And I said, why would I drive a Corvette? And he goes, well, you like going to California, and I'm sure you're pretty well off with your job. And I said, oh, well, I said, thanks, but I said, nope, I don't drive a Corvette. And then he goes, so what do you listen to music-wise? And I'm thinking, oh, thank God, normal topics. So I said, oh, I'll listen to pretty much anything. And he goes, oh, I highly doubt that. Highly doubt it. And I said, really? And why do you doubt that? And he goes, well, because young people only listen to, sorry if there's little ears listening. He goes, young people only listen to shit. And I finally look at him, I was like, well, that's a pretty strong assumption that you're making there. And I know that doesn't seem like much, but for me to even say a comment like that to a patient, usually, like I said earlier, the whole gold medal thing. My job is not for my feelings to get hurt or for it to be about me, right? But also, this was my point as far as what we can control. Like, I can control how I respond to people that maybe aren't super duper nice, right? I can control whether or not I let it impact me, if I let someone ruin my day, right? Those are things that I can either choose to dampen my vibe or I can maintain the high vibe and just kind of laugh at it, right? And for me, what I'm working on lately is, even if it's in the professional setting, if there's a line that's crossed or if someone's just being a jerk to me, I now have finally reached that point where I reserve the right and I'm okay with it if I stand my ground. Like, I can be polite to a degree, but I think there's a point in our lives, and that was the point of this, whether it's our friendships, our professional lives, our family. Oh, here come the sirens again. I'm telling you, cherish it. Reminisce, because one day you're not going to have the sirens in the back of my podcast. Yeah, I think there comes a line where we can choose to control those things. And, whether it's, say, a patient you have that really makes you anxious or makes you feel some sort of way, you don't have to keep seeing that patient. You don't have to keep seeing that friend. You don't have to keep seeing that family member. It goes across the board, even beyond competing. The one I really want to hammer home, though, especially for the competitors listening, is the part where it says the words I say. I think this is so huge. It's something that I've talked about before on a lot of episodes, and I think it's something we just don't even realize as people, but for this context as competitors. Gosh, the amount of times, I'll just use myself, the amount of times over the years that you would hear me say, oh, I still have to do this, or I have to go do this cardio, I have to get this many lifts in, or oh, I didn't get this, I didn't get that, I still have to do this. And I think that can make you feel like you are constantly in this state of mind where you're high stress and you are just go, 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 go. And it makes you internally feel like you don't have time for yourself, like you're not choosing to do this, and like you can't keep up, and like you're not achieving or doing enough, right? Does that sound familiar? At least maybe you've had a day where you felt that way of, oh, I still got to go home and I got to cook the turkey, I got to go grocery shopping, I got to do this, I got to do that. And yes, while it's very valid that there's stuff on your to-do list, no doubt, I think we can change the narrative a bit of, wow, I got all this done and it's only 12 o'clock today. That's great. I still have plenty of time to do the other things I would like to do today. Or, well, I would like to make sure I get to the gym and do XYZ today. That's really important to me. And then I would like to prioritize XYZ next. Or, wow, I'm really proud of myself. I stuck to my guns about, waking up at a certain time this morning. I was really tired, but I did it. And that was a great way to start my day. I'm really proud. Or, yeah, there's still some things that maybe I didn't get to, but I'm going to go ahead and say I'm really proud of myself for getting these things done. I think that's a big one because, at least from what I gather with a lot of other competitors, is all the things we need to juggle. And for me, that helps a lot with feeling that positive energy of feeling accomplished. And you've heard me say it before. If saying it doesn't do it for you, write down all of the things that you've already done that day. I filled up my gas tank. I got up early. I got my coffee. I got this meal in. I went and did my fasted cardio. Wow, look, I've already done 5 things and it's 8 a.m. That's great. Now I'm going to go to work. That's a 6th thing. Or I'm going to read my book. I'm going to get my steps in. And then you look at all the things written out physically that you've done, and you're like, wow, I did quite a bit today. It didn't feel like it, but when I see it blatantly written out in front of me, that makes me feel really good. Go me. That's awesome. And I think beyond just to-do lists, a lot of the times you feel people say out loud, I feel bloated. I feel whatever descriptor today. I had someone the other day, they said, how do you think I get rid of cellulite? And I looked at them and I said, honestly, I see you and all I see is hourglass. And they were just taken aback. They're like, oh, wow, like, thank you for saying that. And it's true. I mean, I know that's something that's not a hot take, but how many times do you hear, I'll just say women, because it's primarily women that listen, but men too, I mean, anybody. How many times do you hear people out loud say, wow, I'm really proud of my quad development, or wow, my glutes are looking pretty full lately, or wow, I'm really excited. I look really strong. Look at my vascularity. Look at how my pants fit. Or wow, I feel really good in this shirt today. It makes me look, really healthy. I rarely hear people pump themselves up outwardly. And I don't know if that's from a place of feeling bashful, like they're going to sound conceited or full of themselves or whichever, but how often do you hear people pump themselves up out loud versus saying tiny, seemingly harmless comments about how they look or how they don't look or how crappy they feel or how they're not accomplishing certain goals? So I think that's another thing within your control, even if it's just your partner under your own roof. Say, hey, let's recap together the things that we think we did well today. Or, hey, I'm really happy today. Look at all these things that I achieved. Here's something that made me smile today. Here's something that I've really been working on with myself. If you can help to hold me accountable, I think those are all things that they are very much within the realm of our control. And it sounds small, but it is so, so huge. I mean, those little efforts can change our whole perspective on our whole day, our whole week, our whole experience as competitors, focusing on all the things that went well. And I hope that resonates with you today, because I think that, yes, while that's the smallest portion within the little circle of what we can control, to me, it just feels like, it's at the center for a reason. It's the core. It's the foundation of how we view ourselves and how we go about life. So whether you are entering a show, a peak week, an off season, maybe you're starting competing for the first time, just try and think of one thing every day. Find one thing that you can do to try and level up that high vibe energy. Even if you already feel like, yeah, I'm pretty happy. What more can you do today? How can you make your day even better? How can you make yourself smile? How can you feel fulfilled, accomplished, whichever descriptor sounds best to you? I think the more that we can do that, the happier we are as human beings. But anyways, I feel like I might just be going on a rant here. You get the point. I'm trying to think if there's anything else that I can update you all on. We are supposed to be closing here pretty soon, which is great. Like I said, we are packing around here, and I went into that earlier. So tonight, I'm just going to recap with Connor, and we're going to relax a little bit and look forward to the week ahead of us. And I hope that you all have a great week today. Make sure to follow, subscribe, and share the podcast with someone that you love today, especially if you feel like they could use that level up high vibe energy. And let me know the things that you're going to do for yourself to level up that energy, because I want to share some of those ideas, and honestly, I might steal some of them for myself. So thank you for listening today. I hope that you have a fantastic week filled with high energy, and I'll talk to y'all later. Bye.